There's two ways, yeah. Okay, there's two ways to get a percentage of an amount. We have this, our mental maths method, which is to split up the percentage into easier percentages to find. So I'm going to find 10% of 250 and 5% of 250. I'm doing that because 15 breaks up 10 and 5%. 10% is easy to get because I can just move the decimal place one spot or remove the 0, or it's 1/10. So that's just 25. So removing the 0, dividing by 10. How do I get 5% when I know what 10% is, Flynn?
You buy 10% by 2.
Yeah, so I know that this is 10%, so 5% is half of that. So half of that is 12.5. I've halved that. If 10% is 25, half of it is 12 and a half.
37.
Add those together, I get 37.5. Now sometimes if it's a discount, I would need to subtract that from the original, or if it's increased, I would need to add that to the original. But for now, we're just getting 15%. The second method is, of course, if you have a calculator, we can use a method because 15% of 250 is a multiplication problem because of means to multiply. I'm going to multiply by 250, but I'm not going to have the percent as a percentage. I'm going to use a decimal. Sarah, what's the?
For example, there's a test, and then there's like one of those questions,
Yeah.
and it's for 4 marks. If you use a calculator, do you get like less marks?
No, you can use a calculator for percentage questions, but you'll have to show what you typed into the calculator for the method. So the method in the calculator is turn the percentage to a decimal and multiply, and you'll get the same answer. Okay. Hi.
Could you do 15 times 250 and then divide your answer
By 100. Yes, of course. Yeah, if you want to go into the third method, which is the fraction method, 15 out of 100 multiplied by 250 will give you the same answer. Yes, exactly. So that's the third. That's the multiplication using fractions method. So there's so many methods to get the same thing.
Aren't you supposed to take out, so once you do that, you're supposed to do the 15, but over 10. And
Okay, no, you could simplify this many ways. For instance, that's 5 fits into that 3 times, 5 fits into that 20 times. Then if you want to simplify the 20, 10 fits into that twice, 10 fits into this 25 times. And now you can do, so 3 times 25 is 75. And divided by 2, and 75 divided by 2 is 37.5. If you want to simplify it, yes. You simplify it first to make it easier for you. All right, so that's how to get a percentage of amount. I'm waiting. Okay, I'll go. All right, so sometimes we are given a test result, and we need to turn it into a percentage. How do we do that? I'm going to get rid of this, if that's okay. So let's say I get 17 out of 40 in my test. How do I turn that into a percent score? Let's say we don't have a calculator today. Manny.
you could like make it out of 100.
Okay, so one way is to make it out of 100. Now 40 is not a multiple of 100 then. So you could pick something that helps, yeah, an equivalent fraction method. Maybe if I got it out of 200, I'd know that that would be double my score, because I know 40 fits into 200. So create an equivalent fraction that has the same, that has a denominator that's better for us to use. I'm going to pick 200, because that's multiplying by 5. If I multiply the top by 5, what's 17 times 5? 17 times 5. 85. Lanny wins the race. 85. Okay, so if it's 85 out of 200, what's it out of 100?
42.5.
Yeah, it's a decimal, 42.5. But that's a percent. It has to be out of 100 to be a percentage. So 42.5% is my answer here. So that's one method: create an equivalent fraction with a denominator that works for us. We could have picked 1,000 as well. If you rather 1,000, that's one we could have picked, and then simplify it down to 100 as well.
It would be harder to pick up 1,000.
Yeah, I think so. I think it would have been harder to do 1,000. So what do I multiply 40 by to get to 1,000? 50? 50? 50 would be 2,000, so it'd be half of that. So 25, which means a multiplying of 25 here, which is tricky. You get 425, and then you have to divide by 10. Because it's out of 1,000, I want it out of 100. Okay, let's do a different method though. Bella, you with me? Let's do a different method, the method that we can always work. If I do 17 out of 40, what is this out of? No, but the test, if I want to put a percent, what's the percent out of? So it's of 100. So let's use the fraction method to do this. 17 out of 40 of is multiply, and 100 written as a fraction is 100 over 1. So that's another way of getting, if I get a something over something and I want to turn it into a percentage, I can multiply it by 100 over 1. So, because it's out of 100. Now, what can I do here? I can always simplify as well. 10 fits into that 4 times. 10 fits into that 10 times. Maybe I stop here and I multiply. I get 170 divided by 4. So 17 times 10, 4 times 1. And then I have to do that division. 4 fits into 17 4 times, the remainder 1, because 16. 4 fits into 10 twice, so I need to go into my decimals, with a remainder 2. 4 fits into 20 5 times. And then we stop, because we've reached a whole number. So there's 2 methods for that one as well. Make sure you have at least one of those methods in your notes. Turning a fraction into a percentage is a common question. Whichever method you prefer, this common denominator method, or a useful denominator method, let's call it, or this is systematic. This is the same every time. You just do of 100, so it's multiplied by 100 over 1. Yeah.
But but each method rounds up to the same answer.
Exactly. Well, So with math, there's a number of different ways to get the same answer. Whichever strategy you like to use, you can use. That's for building up our skills. So there's 2 skills here at use. This one? So of in maths is multiply, the of. So it's 1740. We have 100% on offer. I want to just split that up into 1740ths. I want a fraction of 100. So I want what fraction 17 over 40, what amount of percent 17 over 40 is of 100%. It's a fraction. So if I had a half of 100%, so if there was only 2 marks and I got one of them, what's my percentage? I already know. What's the percentage? 50%. Okay, this will work it out for us. If I multiply by 100 over 1, I end up 100 divided by 2, which is 50. So it's just doing that process. Okay, what happens if we don't know what the 100% was? I'm going to ask a question now. Once you have that down. All right, so we're into a store, we walk in, there's a sale on.
Wait, so the price is 350?
Now, yeah, after 10% is already been taken off. Is it 385? Yeah, that's the question. So, so a bike is on sale for $350 now. It's already got that 10% off it. What was its price before the sale? So you're saying, so you got $35 and added it on? Okay. Sarah? 3,500 is 10 times more expensive. No, it's 10% discount. No, it's not that much. That'd be a great deal. No. The answer is not 385. So we need to think about it again.
Would it be if the 10% 385?
It's not 385.
If
300
Why?
Random
Wait,
guess.
hold on.
Is that just a random guess?
No.
That's 398.5.
Okay, what was the 10% discount from? Which price? What was the price?
350.
No?
300.
We don't know what the original price was. That's the problem. The 10% is not taken off this. It's taken off whatever the original price was.
So then we would have to
So getting 10% of this is not going to help us.
but when we add the 10%, isn't it just
10% of the wrong thing.
Isn't it 10% of that? And so then plus it.
Okay,
40.
if something costs $100 and we give it a 10% discount, what's the sale price? $90. What's 10% of 90? 9. So going backwards, it doesn't work. So I get 10% and add it on, I get 99, I don't get 100. That's what you're telling me to do. So we have the same problem. We have, at 10% is 90. So discount at 10% is 90. We figured that out. To go backwards, you don't get 10% of 90 because that's 9, doesn't give us $99. We've got to have a different strategy. So at the moment in this question, we have some number at 10% discount gives 350. I want to work back to what the number is. It's an issue. What percentage do I have? What percentage is this? That's 90%, yes. So I know 90% of my price is 350. I want to find 100%.
Yes, I know how to do it. So you divide it by 9 and then you add the number. Then you add the 1 to the.
Probably an easier way to do it, but yeah, you're on the right track, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. How do I get, when I have 90% of something, how do I get all of it?
You ask the shopkeeper.
Add 10%? That's not going to work.
Because if we add 10%,
That's
it won't work with
'cause you-
with the 9.
Yeah, you're getting 10% of this, which is not what I want.
You get 10% of 90.
Well, there's a couple of ways I can do it. I could definitely do it with a calculator, pretty straightforward method. Maybe if I wanted to get 10%, if 90% is 350, what's 10%? What would I have to divide by?
9.
Divide by 9, yeah?
Yes.
And then I'd have to multiply by 10. Or I could divide by 90, multiply by 100. That's one way of doing it. How can I do it in one swoop?
Ask the shopkeeper.
If I knew how much the cost price was and I wanted to get 90% of it, what do I do? I multiply by what? If I want to get 90% of something, I multiply by what? 0.9, the decimal equivalent of 90%. And that will give me my answer of 350. If I ever want to work backwards from a multiplication problem, I divide. If I have some unknown multiplied by 9, let's think of a simple example. 6 multiplied by 2 is 12. But if I left out the 6, how do I get it? 12 divided by the 2. So in this case, 350 divided by 0.9 gives us our answer. So it should be more because it's less than 1. It'll fit in more times. So this is where we get our calculators out, if you have one.
This is my calculator.
So I do 350 divided by 0.9, and I get a weird number, but that's okay. 388.89, we'll round it. That was the original price. So
You
with
would round it
To-
to 389.
you could, yeah, but usually with money we go 2 decimal places. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay.
Mine's 3.8. 388.8.
Are we supposed to have a calculator?
You can use the calculator for this exam. So how would we do this without a calculator?
We would put it in a
Yeah.
row. I think this is.
So we did this. You can't divide by the decimal. You have to multiply them both by 10. So we get 3,500 divided by 9. And then this is what we did with our decimal strategy. 3,500 divided by 9. Doesn't fit into 3, but does fit into 35. 3 times, and so on. Remainder 8, and so on. You would get the same answer. You would get the same answer. Yeah.
My calculator low-key broke.
Okay, indeed.
It only gives me answers in fact.
All right. Let's you guys do some work now. Just work on Google Classroom. Ask me some questions. There's going to be loads of questions.